Economic warfare. China didn't launch a missile, it dropped a blacklist. 18 big-name American companies just got banned from operating in China. But this wasn't about soybeans or sneakers. This was a direct hit on America's tech and defense backbone. Back when former President Trump was busy firing tariffs at Chinese products, Beijing was quietly working on something far more precise. Their answer wasn't loud, it was strategic. Names like Lockheed Martin, makers of advanced fighter jets, and Palantir, whose tech fuels NATO's AI-driven warfare, are now suddenly cut off from the Chinese supply chains they depend on. This isn't tit for tat anymore, this is economic warfare, and it's already shaking global markets. Supply chains are tightening. Allies are watching closely. When two superpowers go after each other's economic lifelines, the shockwaves hit everyone. But this isn't just a newsflash, it's a realignment of global power. China's playing chess in 4D while the United States is still reacting in 2D. The stakes, higher than a Tesla at launch mode, buckle up because the age of tariffs is over. Now, it's tech wars. Just 3 days before China announced the blacklist, the United States had triggered the fuse. The Trump administration rolled out a massive new tariff package, this time targeting $300 billion worth of Chinese imports. But this wasn't about toys or t-shirts. It targeted the future electric vehicle batteries, rare earths, aerospace alloys, and cutting-edge electronics. The official line, protecting American jobs? But from Beijing's view, it looked like economic aggression, a shot that demanded a response. And the timing couldn't have been more calculated. The United States economy had slowed to just 1.1% growth in early 2025. Consumer confidence was falling. To China, this was a moment of weakness, and they seized it. China's leaders decided this was bigger than trade. It was about control, not just of steel and soybeans, but of the technologies shaping tomorrow. Lithium for electric vehicles, chips for artificial intelligence, rare earths for green energy. The future is electric, and both nations want to own the charger. When one side applies pressure like the United States just did, you can bet the other will strike harder. China didn't target fast food or fashion. They went for America's critical tech. These 18 companies weren't random. They're the spine of U.S. defense and innovation. Let's start with Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. Together, they inked $7 billion in weapons deals with Taiwan, a move Beijing sees as hostile. So China cut off their access to rare earths. That's not just payback, it's a supply-side strike. Then there's Palantir, not your typical tech firm. Their platforms help NATO run drone missions and battlefield AI. Getting cut from Chinese networks? That's more than business, it's a warning. Lattice Semiconductor is another target. They make chips for F-35 jets, and they depend on Chinese-sourced rare earths. No access, no chips, no jets. It's a chain reaction, and China knows where to push. Picture this. Tesla wakes up and finds itself locked out of Chinese graphite, the core material for its batteries. That's the scale of disruption here. Only it's not EVs, it's missiles, satellites, surveillance. By going after these companies, China isn't just flexing economic power. It's saying, we know what matters, and we can reach it. Now let's talk rare earth elements. Names like neodymium, gallium, dysprosium, they sound like stuff from your high school chemistry class, but they're in everything from precision missiles to iPhones. And here's the kicker. China mines 69% of them and refines 87%. Even if another country digs them up, most of the world still has to send them to China to process. When Beijing turns off the tap, the effect is immediate. Just ask General Dynamics. When they lost access to Chinese gallium, they had to pivot to Australia, and their costs shot up 18%. Now imagine that ripple across every major U.S. defense and tech firm. This is economic jujitsu, turning American dependency into a weapon. Rare earths to war tech are what lithium is to EVs. Try powering a Tesla with no battery. That's what happens when China holds the chargers. While the world focused on rare earths and blacklists, China made another quiet move, dumping U.S. assets. In just one quarter of 2024, Chinese investors sold off $42.6 billion in U.S. bonds, stocks, and corporate debt. It was the largest single quarter sell-off in years. So why does this matter, you might wonder? Well, when China decides to dump US debt, the dollar tends to weaken. This makes borrowing more expensive, and, it really makes the markets jittery. It wasn't just a tantrum. It was more like a financial ambush. Imagine the US economy as a phone charging overnight. Then suddenly China pulls the plug, and now Wall Street is blinking red. This isn't merely about retaliation. It's a gradual uncoupling, a financial separation, if you will. The United States thought it had the upper hand by cutting China off from advanced semiconductors, pressuring Japan and the Netherlands to block exports of chip-making tools. But that only pushed China harder. Beijing fired back with a $150 billion chip independence plan. And it's already showing results. SMIC, China's biggest chip maker, is now producing 7-nanometer chips, way ahead of schedule. Huawei? They've been stockpiling tools, building workarounds, and adapting at warp speed. This war isn't about faster phones. It's about who controls the thinking machines of tomorrow. AI systems, autonomous weapons, EVs with brains. No chips, no future. It's like trying to run ChatGPT on a calculator. TSMC, the Taiwanese chip giant, is stuck in the middle. It's becoming the new Berlin Wall, split between two superpowers fighting for control. Let's recap. China blacklisted America's defense tech elite, cut off rare earths, dumped US assets, and fast-tracked its chip race. The US retaliated by banning Chinese semiconductors, freezing their access to chip tech, and shoring up alliances in Asia. This isn't just a trade dispute anymore. This is Cold War 2.0. Only this time the arsenal is economic. And the front lines? Not soldiers, but companies. Lockheed Martin, TSMC, Tesla, Huawei. It's a split world forming in real time. Separate standards, separate systems, separate alliances. The last Cold War was about missiles in Cuba. This one is about semiconductors, rare earths, and clean energy patents. And here's the twist. China's not just competing with the United States anymore. It's trying to leap ahead, to lead the global south, to expand BRICS, to build its own Internet of Things, smart cities and satellite networks, with zero US involvement. In the EV world, this means dominating mobility, batteries, and AI logistics, while the US is stuck arguing over tariffs. China isn't slowing down, it's accelerating into ludicrous mode. Here's the question. When two titans break the system apart, who wins? Is this just a phase, or are we watching the rise of two separate economies that may never reconnect? Tell me what you think in the comments. Are we heading for a fix or a full fracture? Smash the subscription button, tap the bell, and stick with us. Because this is no longer just about politics or money. This is about who owns the future.